Hello and welcome to Redmate. Today we're reviewing the Liverpool 2024-2025 leaked kits. Now we've got the home kit, the away kit and the third kit to go through. So I'm just going to have a look at them, see what we've got in store for next season potentially, let you know my thoughts. Now I think the first item that we probably need to point out is obviously with leaked kits, there's obviously an element of reliability in terms of the source that it's come from and whether or not we think it's legitimate. These days, obviously a lot of fans making a lot of concept kits, things like that. You know, everyone's got Photoshop. They like to draw up some creative ideas, as well as some things maybe are prototypes or potentially things the club are considering. And I imagine they go through a number of different kits before they make their selection on exactly which one they want to go with. So potentially this might just be an idea and it might not be set in stone just yet, even if Nike have put it together. But anyways, it seems to have come from a reliable source over recent years. They have kind of leaked kits like this in the past and they do tend to get it right of late. So yeah, I'm happy to kind of assume that this is correct as of right now and basically go through it and I'll let you know my thoughts on it. Yeah, so obviously starting off with the home kit, you know, Liverpool obviously going to have a red home kit. You know, that's never going to change. That is the colours of Liverpool, but there's obviously some small elements that Nike can play with a little bit in terms of subtle or secondary colors. We've seen them introduce a green recently, even an orange. So yeah, you know, it's obviously always going to be interesting to see what they do, potentially add subtle stripes, subtle patterns, things like that. But looking at it now, I guess the biggest thing that sticks out to me straight away is the neck. It's not the full way around. It looks like a bit of a horseshoe around the sides and the back. It definitely reminds me of some of the old school kits where the collar is much thicker. We have seen a lot of kits kind of pay homage to some of the older style kits. A lot of the retro styles are definitely seem to be back in fashion. I believe Liverpool's kit this season already is meant to be somewhat related to the 2000 home kit or the 98. I definitely picture kind of like the Michael Owen wearing it kind of thing when he's kind of big on the scene, winning his Ballon d'Ors and things like that. But anyways, it seems like there's a bit of a yellow pattern through it as well, which to be honest, I'm not completely against that. We have seen Liverpool in their title winning season have a bit of a subtle stripe, and obviously given, you know, they won the Premier League that season, already things like that start to have more of a positive feel towards them, given we've had success. And personally, I always feel that kits that we do well in, looking back then, you always have a bit more of a liking to them compared to kits where you do really badly or have a terrible season. You almost feel like you just want to forget about that kit. You tend to not see as many highlights from that season. You don't see all the goals. It tends to just kind of get forgotten about and you see less of that kit. So yeah, things like that. Obviously, like I said, yeah, it's got the yellow marks. It looks to be some thicker style blocks maybe. We do see, again, they've gone for the secondary color of yellow or maybe golden, where we've got the Nike logo as well as the simplified Liverpool crest that they've been running with for the last few years, with the Livebird and LFC also in the gold, rather than the detailed Liverpool crest that we used to see for a good few years there, maybe 20 years roughly, you know, with the flames and the You'll Never Walk Alone banner and all that. But yeah, obviously as well, we've got the white collar, we've got the red through it, the yellow also there. The only thing, again, like I said, it kind of comes not the full way around. It's not a complete round neck. To be honest, I am a big fan of the round neck kits. We did see a few teams do that of recent. We've seen Tottenham do it, Man City as well. And I think of Haaland in his breakout season where they've got the complete round kit. I am a fan of that. This one, again, it looks a little bit different. You know how it kind of comes straight and then straight across. There's no buttons. There's no kind of V-neck. It's just straight across. So not the worst thing in the world, and it kind of reminds me of another kit, and I just can't put my finger on it. Maybe you'll have to let me know in the comments below exactly which one it is, but it definitely kind of reminds me of another kit I've seen before, and I just cannot think exactly which one. All in all, it's not too bad. It is, again, it's the home kit. There's not much you can do with it. It's always going to be relatively similar. And you know, there is a contrast with the standard chartered logo being the white, and they have gone with the gold Nike and LFC logo, or the crest. Potentially that just having the two different tones is the biggest standout to me, but all in all, I'm not going to be hating on it. Like I said, it's always going to be roughly the same. I'm not expecting too big of things. It's more the away kit and the third kit where I think that the kit manufacturers have a bit more of a license to get creative and we can see some different colors and what that's about. So I'm not too unhappy with that. I'm more than happy to wear it. Again, I think that the success in the shirt probably leads me to prefer it or maybe not be as pleased with it. But again, I'm not going to complain with that. That's pretty stock standard from Liverpool these days, and it's pretty consistent with what we've seen in recent years too. So I think it's time we move on to the away kit. We'll have a look at that now. Yeah, so it looks like maybe it's more of a black the away kit here. Seems quite simple, very basic design. I guess I have to admit I'm always a bit more of a fan of the cleaner, more basic kits. I think when they go really overboard and too crazy, I think it can go too far. I think maybe last season it was Liverpool's, the white kit they had, had a real lot of color through it. It was meant to be subtle, but it almost looked like a reflective kind of street sign or something like that. I felt like it was maybe too over the top. I prefer a much more cleaner white kit. I think when we've seen even the goalkeeper kit when the season we won the league, where it was just simple black and a bit of gold, I think that really did well. It was extremely popular. Fans were struggling to get their hands on that just based on having a clean, solid color through. Obviously your blacks and whites are typically a bit more maybe wearable given their more subtle colors than a bright red or a bright blue or green or whatever it might be. So yeah, I think that had an element to it, but again, it was probably years of having kind of creative ideas with lots of patterns through it. All of a sudden having a clean basic look tended to be the outlier, and fans are all of a sudden really excited about that. Other than maybe an example that sticks to mind, and this is a completely different team, but I think about the Nigerian kit as well from a few years back when they went to the World Cup, and it was very loud. But again, when you see the Nigerian kit wearing that, I think they definitely pulled that off, and probably isn't something that I can get away with and wear, but that's something that's very loud and it becomes almost iconic straight away, especially if a team does quite well. And again, it's a World Cup, so there's already good feelings around that. And being a national kit, a little bit different to a Premier League or a team kit or a club kit where, you know, it is changing a lot more rapidly year on year, and you're seeing it much more often because of the number of games they play. But yeah, anyways, this kit, I think it kind of reminds me of the New Balance kit that we wore just based on the sleeves. It's kind of got the half colors there. There was a white kit that New Balance did that kind of reminds me of that, as well as it seems like we have done a few black kits of late, but this one seems to be a little bit more subtle. I'm not against it. I think it's maybe what you could describe as like a teal, maybe that kind of subtle bluey green color. Yeah, we've seen Nike kind of have that in their locker for a while. We've seen even the likes of Barca have away kits and stuff, probably that whole color. So not really a surprise to see something like that. But again, it's probably the subtleness of it, and otherwise a pretty plain away kit. But again, everyone's got their own style, everyone's got their own opinion. I personally don't mind a plain kit. I think sometimes, yeah, again, when they overcomplicate it, it makes it a little bit too much. It puts me off a little bit. So yeah, I'm actually not too displeased with that one, to be honest. I think sometimes the solid color is all you need. And again, you just do it for one season. These things change. You've got a lot of creativity up your sleeves to change the away kits and the third kit. So to be honest, that one, looking at it now, is probably a bit of a favorite of mine. Again, with the subtle color on the sleeves, I think it goes quite well. Again, if you guys have any thoughts or comments on this, definitely have to put it in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking of it. Obviously, I'm just one person here, and you know, as a whole, you kind of get an understanding of what the fans think of it later on when they all start seeing it and posting it online. So I'm definitely keen to hear your thoughts, because people's opinions are definitely going to differ on things like that, where it's a little bit more about appearance and what we can see there. So yeah, lastly, I think we'll go into the third kit, which is with the last of the three. Again, we've seen Liverpool and Nike in particular get a little bit creative with the third kit. I remember there was a yellow one. People kind of call it like the McDonald's kit, where it kind of had like checkered red on it and it was full yellow. I don't think we wore it too much. And again, it was very loud. I think if you were to wear that out in the streets, it's definitely going to draw a lot of attention. For me, I think it's ideal if you can wear a shirt and it be a little bit more stylish. Obviously, it's going to be a talking point, or it's going to be a bit of a loud item regardless compared to a normal shirt. But if it can be a little bit more subtle and fit in with whatever you're wearing, you can make it look semi-clean, I think that's probably always the go-to, without wearing a shirt that you're just going to walk out in public and everyone's going to be looking at you. I think those bright yellows and bright greens obviously are those two colors that we see football kits do, and they're going to be a lot louder. Red is obviously a loud color too, but I think it's so common that you could get away with wearing it and it not being too bad. But yeah, this third kit, they've gone for a white look. It looks like there is a subtle, bit more of a secondary color through it again. It's more of a gray too. So I don't know, it looks like a bit of an interesting texture. I mean, I assume it's basically the same, but again, it's like when Nike first came in, they came out with that bluey turquoise kit and it was very textured. Every kit apparently was different, and we did see photos of that because they had just one massive piece of material and all the kits were made from that. So the subtle patterns through it were all slightly different, and I thought that was kind of interesting, but I don't think it was like a massive feature of it. I think it was more of a subtle low-key thing where once you kind of look closely, you'll see that all through it. And it looks like this third kit kind of has that too, where the more you look at it, you will see a few more patterns through it, but from a distance, you'll think it's like a white kit, maybe a light gray even with the two colors combined. Yeah, from a first glance, it looks kind of cool. I think the biggest thing you'll notice straight away about this kit is the Nike logo, and it's facing upwards, and it does kind of have the smaller double Nike tick along. So there's a red one, there's a yellow one there. It's very interesting to see it pointed upwards and having it vertically. Obviously, when people are wearing the shoes and whatnot, you're not always going to see it completely flat. And again, on the inside of the shoe, you might see it in reverse. But to deliberately have it upwards is a bit of a statement. It's very interesting. We've seen them go for like the retro kind of Nike logo look where it had the tick and the word Nike through it. But they've just kind of opted for the tick and kind of having the double one there too. But yeah, very interesting to have it pointed up. I'm not too sure how I feel about that. I guess first feelings is it's a little bit of a novelty there. You know, people who are going to be looking at that kit and be familiar with such a famous brand there, it kind of might create a bit of conversation there. To anyone wearing that around, fans who might not be big football fans, I think that's interesting. I don't know if Nike maybe are going to do that across many other teams this season. Liverpool's just the first team I've seen doing this. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest talking point. Very interesting. In terms of like the neck and the sleeves, I think that's quite subtle and quite nice. I think it looks very neat the way it kind of crosses over around the neck. It's not too thick. And again, on the sleeves, they've got the red and yellow too, adding that little bit more of color. The red, gold, and white seem to be the colors that they've gone with. And it's almost like an inverse maybe, or of like the home kit where we do see the same colors, whereas obviously on the home kit, the main color is the red. And this, they've gone for the main color being like that white, and then the red and the gold are kind of like subtle secondary and third colors there. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind it at all. I think it's quite neat. The logo's red, the Nike tick's red, and it all kind of blends quite well. It'll be interesting to see it in person, because when I'm looking at this and I'm seeing like the whites and grays, potentially when you put them together and you might see it from a distance, it might look more of a solid color, and then potentially that color itself might look a little bit different. But all in all, for Liverpool, we've got, you know, a red home kit, a black away kit, and a white third kit. That seems to be quite standard. It's very much a retro kind of feel where just go for the black and whites as aways. That seems to be almost like a very basic idea, or what a standard thing they've done in the past, where of recent, you know, you have seen them throw in kind of like the yellows and the greens and get a bit more creative with patterns. So yeah, these ones aren't too crazy. They seem to be quite acceptable with just a bit more of a solid color with this subtle creative colors, should we say, on the sleeves and around the neck, which I think is acceptable. The biggest thing about this kit is definitely that Nike symbol being vertical, which obviously isn't the main part of the shirts. You know, it's a Liverpool shirt, so we're all going to be looking at the crest and the colors and whatnot, but I'd just be personally interested to know if Nike are doing that now across multiple teams, and whether they will do that all the teams that they're obviously manufacturing, or whether or not that's like a Nike thing that they're just doing this season. They're just, you know, how creative can you get with the same label, where you want to make sure that you're making new styles and subtly changing it. And, you know, like I said, they've got the double tick there, like this slight shadow with the different color. But yeah, so overall, I'm actually quite pleased with those kits. I don't think they're too bad. As time goes on and we see a little bit more of them, when we start to see the players wearing them, I think that will give us more of an idea of potentially what they look like. When you just see these pictures in isolation, sometimes the colors can be slightly distorted. You don't get the full idea. It might be a little bit blurry, or there might be fine detail that the club have put in, maybe on a sleeve or on the back or something like that, where, you know, a photo of the leaks haven't really captured that element, and that might be the little bit of excitement, or Nike want to do something a little bit different this season, and, you know, they put it in this different spot, whatever it might be. But yeah, overall, I think the kits are quite nice. I mean, not much else can be said. I don't want to go into too much depth, just in case, you know, these are completely fake, photos aren't legitimate, and then, you know, all of a sudden I'm just ranking some random kits. But just based on the sources, I think they've been quite reliable reliable of recent years. And these days where everyone's got a smartphone, there's people involved in making the kits and pitching the ideas. People are snapping photos, and the minute it's on a mannequin or you see it in the shop with a tag on it or whatever it might be, it's very hard to keep these things under wraps now when you've got such a massive global club with so many fans worldwide, and even people are aware of how big a news this can create, at least amongst Liverpool fans. I think it's quite interesting, and if I had to put some money on it, I would assume that this is going to be the kit. But anyways, it's jumping ahead a little bit because we're only halfway through the current season, so already looking at next season might seem like a bit of a jump, but what else can we do in a week where there's not any Premier League football either due to FA Cup and whatnot? So yeah, that's basically been all my thoughts. Hope you guys have enjoyed the kits. Please drop in the comments below what you think. Maybe give them a rating out of 10 each one. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my thoughts. Drop a like on the video if you have enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe. We are trying to grow the subscriber base and get those numbers up. It helps a lot. That's essentially been all for today. I've been Ant. This has been Red Mate. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.